Hello, hello. Hi, welcome to my channel. This is Mike Patel with Home Savvy Central. Welcome to this session of live show. We're going to talk about the forecast for 2025. I'm going to wait a few minutes to see if people come in. This is a live session which goes on at 4:30 on Mondays, California time. But this one is recorded because I was on a trip and could not do it live on Monday, so I'm pre-recording it. But it's great information to help me with this topic, very important topic coming up in 2025 as we end 2024, which was very wild and nobody could predict it, what happened in 2024. So what's in store for 2025? So we're going to talk about a lot of things. So to help me with this, I'm going to introduce Praful Thakur. He's a good friend of mine, a realtor in business as long as I have. So I'm going to bring him on stage, have him introduce himself. Hey, Praful, how are you?
Hey, how are you, Mahesh?
Oh, good, good. Yes, introduce yourself.
Patel.
Let us know what you think, and let's get started.
All right, let's get started.
You want to just tell us where you are and what you do and how long you've been in business, and then we'll get started on it.
So, my name is Praful Thakur. I serve Metro Boston area for real estate for now 21 years, and coming 2025, it'll be 22 years. And prior to that, I was in IT, 2 decades of IT, and now more than 2 decades of real estate. Makes me, what will you call me, a pretty tough person who can deal with the technology, with the new Gen AI stuff and everything, and always never too busy for any of your referrals. So thanks a lot, Mahesh, for
Cool.
inviting me for this
Sure.
session. Thanks.
Yeah, and Praful, just to let you know, Praful has been a guest before here. He's a guest again today, and I'm sure he'll come back again. Praful is very trendy. He knows what's happening in the market, not only in the Boston, Massachusetts area, but most of East Coast. And he knows generally what's happening nationwide because he's very tech savvy. He keeps up with the trends, reads up on things, listens to podcasts, watches YouTube videos, read articles. So that's one of the reasons I brought him on, because we want to give you true information. So to get started on the predictions and the forecast, of course, we cannot predict it, but at least we can see what happened in the last 3-4 years and what's happening in the next 3-4 years or next year, specifically with the new Trump administration coming in, with the mortgage rates high, with the inflation rates where they are. We can say at somewhat accuracy what may happen, and that's what we're going to do today with Praful. So hang in there. I'm going to share with you a screen and talk about the report. So let me do that. Can you see the screen right now? It says Zillow's housing market prediction for 2025. Now, the reason I'm bringing in Zillow is because a lot of people watch Zillow. They're up to date. They're connected to the multiple listing service. But there are other predictions out there from the Mortgage Bankers Association, from Fannie Mae, from Morgan Stanley, from the National Association of Realtors. But of course, we are limited on time. So I picked Zillow to kind of see what may happen. So are you seeing the report, Praful, and on the audience?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
yes.
Let me, one of the biggest factors for 2025, actually going to be 3 factors before I read the paragraph. The number one factor is the mortgage rates. Are they going to go up or down, and how will they affect the housing purchases? Number 2 is inflation. What is he going to do? Is it going to be up or down? And number 3, just added after the election, which Trump administration is going to come in. And he has 3 things he's going to implement or may not implement. One of them is the tariffs. One of them is the immigration, and his economic and money policies, which may affect inflation. So we're going to talk about those things and how this will happen. But what Zillow is saying is, for the housing 2025 prediction, mortgage rates are once again in the spotlight as 2025 approaches. A short-lived dip to 2-year lows prompted renewed optimism for home buyers before the rise in October brought a reminder of their unpredictability. So what's going to happen with the housing market? We're going to talk about the mortgage rates, as you can see on the chart, and go from there. So coming back to this, Praful, let's start with what's your take on what's going to happen. Let's start with three things. One is the mortgage rates, one is the inflation, and the Trump administration, and go in that line. So let's
So,
take your
like,
general. Yeah.
yeah, like anything in life, uh, this is one of the unpredictable things. Actually, jokingly, I can say two things you can never predict. One is what's going on in your spouse's mind, and one is what's going to happen in real estate.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, Again, when it comes to real estate, one of the things I always tell everyone is that even if God comes down on the earth and says that this is going to happen, real estate market is totally unpredictable, and there's so many factors. And I can perhaps talk about one thing because I've been hearing a lot and following with my buyers that they were so excited. And if I remember correctly, it was September 26th or so when the rates dipped so low that people immediately assumed that, hey, this is the time that rates will go down. And after that, there was one more rate cut by the Fed. What happened, in fact, is totally different. Immediately after that, in October, again, the rates were back to where they were in high sixes and low sevens. And based on Fed's guarantee, and again, guarantee is kind of a different word, but they said that they are very unlikely to have the rate cut
Hmm.
in near future. And
Hmm.
what it simply means for most of the buyers is that you are going to be dealing with the rates in sixes and sevens. In fact, last year, uh, my coach definitely, very much positive, saying that the rates will come down in fives. But looking today, and with the change of government, the new administration taking over, it is very likely that we will be looking at the rates in sixes and perhaps low sevens. So be prepared for that.
Hmm.
And how will it impact your buying? Basically, you can check on that. Now, the
Right.
other two things, what were the two other things, Mahesh, you told me about? Uh,
Inflation and the impact of the tariffs and the mass deportation and the economic factors that'll affect inflation or not affect inflation.
so, inflation usually is one of the major factors. And in fact, those were the times, and I guess, again, I was not in real estate at that time, but in heard the stories that in 80s, 90s, not 90s, but early 80s, the rates were as high as about in 10, 12 or so, and that was a direct impact of inflation. Most likely, all the economic policy from the new administration is going to be making sure that we don't have higher inflation than what we have. So again, impacting that, uh, and considering that the government is going to take perhaps all the measures to keep the inflation in check, might take on inflation. And again, I'm not an economist, and I'm not, my financial IQ is perhaps as good as any layman. I would expect it to be not impacting much uh, to the prices, to the home prices, and the home prices will perhaps continue to rise at the same level.
Hmm.
One factor that may impact, and that's kind of a, will it impact negatively or positively is what we need to watch, and that's immigration. The new government immigration policies are such that, you know, I'm from Indian origin, although I'm settled over here in this country. The immigration policies are going to be pretty strict, and based on that, I do believe that it will impact, I would say, slightly negatively for the sellers in 2025. And again, it's real estate, we can't predict. But
Hmm.
if there are roughly about, say, few hundred thousand of new homes coming in market because of the immigration policies, hey, it may so happen that you will see perhaps an opportunity. So buyers, look out for that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm not 100% sure that those things will be able to, you know, be effective pretty soon. But hey, it may happen, and if that
Right.
happens, there'll
Yeah.
be more homes on market.
Yeah. And I
Again,
was
that's
looking at
my
the
take. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, I was looking at the report today, and it all depends. Yes, there might be deportation, but are they going to deport 100,000 of the criminals first, or are they going to deport all 15 to 25 million? So it depends. If they deport 100, 200, 300,000, it may not be a factor.
correct,
But
correct.
over the long term, not just in 2025, because me personally, I believe it's going to take them a year, 2 years, 3 years to deport 15 to 25 million immigrants, number one. Then the effect will come after that, because 13% of non-immigrants or illegal immigrants make up our workforce, I believe, or in at least in the construction side. So if there is mass deportation and immediately in 2025, which I doubt is going to happen, because the logistics is not there, the budget is not there for the Congress and the Senate to approve, all that may take time. There may be opposition within the Republican Party itself, and I'm not going to get political, but from the reports we read, there's already some confusion and arguments within the party. So we don't know how long it's going to take, if it's going to happen. So if there is mass deportation, then it's going to take a couple of years to see the impact of housing, especially on new home builds, because a lot of the immigration, legal or illegal or dreamers, they work a lot of labor markets in general. So if there's less workers, who's going to build the homes, who's going to put up the roofs, who's going to clean the yards? So it's all hit or miss. We don't know what's going to happen. But the whole idea of our conversation today is, at the end, we want to make some sort of prediction, two predictions. And of course, this is based on data, based on what's happening. It's not a guess. It is, number one, are the prices going to go up? Because like you, I've been in real estate over 25 years. In the last 4 years, specifically last 2 years, we've been hearing two or three questions every year. Number one, when will the mortgage come down? When will the home prices come down? And the most common question, when is the crash coming? That's the three questions I've heard most.
Again,
It's who
I,
knows?
yeah, let me share my take on it.
Right.
You know, this being in IT, one thing I know that the information people receive nowadays is pretty good, and what I have seen is that nowadays sellers manipulate when they want to put their home on market. In fact, we have a shortage of inventory for so many years, not 1 year, 2 years, but for many years. And just to catch up and come back to the normal inventory level, it's going to take 2 to 3 years, or perhaps even more. And one thing I know, if there's the supply is less than the demand, the prices are going to go up. So anybody who's been daydreaming, I don't know if that's the correct word, but anybody who's dreaming that I'm going to buy the home when the market crash next time, maybe you have to wait forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rather than buy it now, enjoy. In fact, that's a basic rule, and perhaps I'd mentioned this earlier also. You know, if you want to buy the house, buy now and enjoy the home.
Hmm.
As simple as that. Rather than waiting, and who knows? The good news is, if the mortgage rates go down, you can always refinance
Hmm.
and bring down your monthly outgoing. But if rates go up, you have already locked in and you have started enjoying the benefits.
Right.
One thing, everyone should remember is that rentals are going up left and right. And if you talk about any of the Metro Chicago, Metro Boston, Metro LA, Metro SFO, San
Hmm.
Francisco,
Hmm.
the rents have almost gone up by about 20% in last 4 years. Now, I will bring in the affordability. Would you
Hmm.
be able to afford the home in that rent you are paying? If so, just go for it. As a buyer, there's no reason why you should be waiting. uh, specifically waiting for the crash to happen. You know,
Right.
don't do that. That's going to be my recommendation. And
Right.
again, that's my
Right.
recommendation.
Right. Yeah. Well, I brought this chart up as you can see, and you mentioned inventory, which we were going to cover. So I have this chart, and I wanted to share it with you, and we can talk about it. You know, it's all about the inventory. The prices will go down, up or down, not because of the interest rate. In fact, statistically, as interest rates go up, home prices go up. That has been proven. I don't have the chart for it, but if you go back from 1990s, and this, of course, this is on average, there has been 7 8 interest rate hikes, 6 7%, 8%, and every time that happened, home prices went up. So I don't think mortgage rates has an impact on prices lowering. If the mortgage rates go down to 4 or 5%, that's going to skyrocket the home prices, my opinion. If
Correct.
the mortgage rates stay where they are, or go up slightly, that's going to up the prices as well. But the number one factor that affects the home prices, assuming everything's okay in the economy, is the supply of homes. In 2008, and I'm sure you were there, Praful, 2006, 7,
Oh
8,
yeah,
9, 10, murder years, drastic years, recession years,
crazy.
took, what was the inventory supply? 10 months, which means that if no homes come on the market, it took 10 months to sell a home. That means there were so many homes for sale. But look at this chart. The inventory right now is around, you know, 3 or 4 months supply.
Yeah.
There is very low supply. It has been low for the year. Our sales has been down. This year we predict about 4 million home sales. In 2021, in the peak time, there were over 6 million home sales. And of course, there are low home sales because there's low inventory. So as long as the inventory stays low, home prices are not going to come down,
Uh,
regardless of the mortgage rates.
yeah. Let me do one thing. Many of our viewers would not know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we use certain terminology in real estate. So can you just bring down where you were initially?
Right
So
here.
if you look at the chart, no, that chart, you can see that 6 months. No, you that's a correct chart, but you have all right.
Right.
The 6 month is kind of a cutoff line. Anything over there, we call it as the buyer's market, and anything below that, we call it as a seller's market. That's kind of a norm we usually adapt. Now, there are certain products which basically will define uh, a fictitious number or based on certain calculation, and they will come at XYZ number. And that, I think, uh, I forgot the name of the product, but that says that at 30, if that market action index is a 30, we are in a balanced market.
Mm-hmm.
At this point of a time, when I do, yeah, that's an Altos chart, Altos reports. Many of the charts show today in my area, the market action index is much higher, close to about 60, 70, and some of the towns even 80. What it simply means that it is a strong seller's market now. And when there's a strong seller's market, by default, it simply means the buyers will have to compete with other buyers. And getting back to this chart, 4 month supply,
Mm-hmm.
almost two-third level. And looking at the new policies coming up with the new administrations,
Mm-hmm.
new construction usually fuels this months of supply
Right.
to certain level to offset, to bring it up. Unfortunately, all these things when going up, all these things are likely to happen
Right.
is the months of supplies. Right now we are in winter months and we still have only 4 months of supply.
Right.
It
Right.
simply means it simply means that come February, March in Massachusetts, we usually consider 15th March as an official spring selling season.
Mm-hmm.
This month of supply is likely to go down even to 2 months.
Right.
And
Right. Yep.
again, coming back to my original thing, supply and demand. The
Right.
supply is going to go down, demand is going to go up, and you can basically, you are all educated people, you would know what will happen to the prices.
Exactly.
And that's one of the reasons if we are worried about mortgage interest rates, I would say you better go for it right now and lock in your mortgage interest rate wherever you are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So that was my take. Sorry.
Okay. Well,
And you
that's
can
a good
basically
point.
carry on. Yeah. You
Yeah,
can.
no, that's a great point. And I what I did was I expanded the map. I went
Correct.
back 10, 15 years rather than 5 years. Originally, I had it lower, but let's go back to 2008. We were talking about 2005. Inventory supply was
10
almost
months.
6 months right there. But as the recession came in, as the housing market took a turn, if you look at the peak here, see month supply of 11, I said 10 months, but look at this month supply in
Almost a year.
2010 was 11 months. That means it took a year. If I put a house for sale on your yard in 2009, it took an average of 12 months to sell that darn home, right? Home sales were 3.6 million, which is kind of low, but obviously people lost jobs and couldn't qualify. But look at the numbers. Look at the number right now. Um,
More
this
than
was
12.
at 12 months, but if you look at over here, it's at 4 months. And if you look at the average, the last 4 or 5 years, it has been around 5 months, but it's been dipped to 4 months. So
Yeah.
until that comes up to 6, 7, 8 months, I don't see any price drop. Me personally, of course.
And
Um,
can you just segment just 1 year? I want to basically also point out one more fact.
I don't know if
In
I
this
can.
chart
Let
only.
me,
No,
yeah,
no,
on
bring
this
no, no,
chart.
no.
Okay, one
So
year.
this chart, yeah,
Okay.
okay. Can you see this? There's always a dip going down, and will come to about 2-3 months. The moment the season is, in fact, we are in November 23, and if you, can you, the moment, can you see this in month of March?
hmm
It just
March,
came down.
March
Yeah,
24, right here.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
3 months only.
The
Okay,
supply was 3 months. It went up to the peak of 4 months in,
and
uh,
as we go towards the winter, which is December right now, it's going to
right.
go slightly up. And the
It's not
moment
that
we
much.
get,
It's went from 4 to 4.2, but
yeah,
that's normal because I don't want to show a house
exactly,
at 4 o'clock when it's dark. I can't find the house as a realtor,
correct,
right?
correct.
And
And
people
the
on a
moment
vacation.
you go into the spring season, it's going to come down from 4.2 to perhaps 2.4.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, let's look at these. See, 23. So the inventory was way low back in 2022, and it is higher than 2022, but it's way lower than if you go back here, max. It's way lower than where it was here, right?
Yeah,
In March 2022, it was at the lowest point at about 2 months, and they were selling at like hotcakes. We had 20 offers, 30 offers the same day. It has gone up, but it's still way too low. So this is a good slide that we talked about. So
yeah.
yeah.
I
So
mean,
you
be
mentioned
prepared for
earlier,
multiple offers. Be prepared for multiple offers and
yeah,
compete with other
right,
buyers.
right. And right now we're not getting that multiple offers because obviously the home prices have gone up, interest rates have gone up. There is still demand. So let's talk about demand coming on. We talked about inflation, we talked about the mortgage rates. And people ask me the other question that ask me, especially buyers, when they come and say, "Hey, Mike, I want to buy a house. I can't afford to buy a house. I wanted to buy this house, a 4 bedroom, but now I can only afford a 3 bedroom." The biggest question that I get, on top of the three questions I asked get earlier, the fourth common question I get is, how the hell, sorry to say that, but this is a quote, how the hell can buyers afford these payments and they're still buying? Because if you look at 2019 prices, 2015 prices, and compare, homes have doubled. Homes
Oh
have
yeah,
gone 50, 60% up. Mortgage rates has gone up from 3% to 4% to 7%. In Anaheim Hills, the home that cost for $800,000 3 years ago now cost $1 million, which is our average medium home sales price. $1 million for a 4 bedrooms, 2 bath, your typical bread and butter home at
yeah.
7%. How the heck, I'm going to use the word heck instead of hell just to be nice, can they afford it? And that they can afford it because there's a demand. So who are these people buying, Prafulla? If I can ask you a question, in your experience, who are these people buying? Where are they getting this money?
Oh man, you put me on the spot.
Yep, yep.
Uh, One thing, I mean, there's one more chart which I had seen somewhere where the first time home buyers are basically going down
Mm-hmm,
relatively,
mm-hmm,
compared to what it has been. So people with lots of monies, lots of savings over the period of years
mm-hmm.
are the one who are buying. That's what I would say.
Mhm.
Okay. They are putting down enough money so as to take care of lower loan amounts. And that basically helps them bring down their monthlies. So this is one segment which I have been seeing. In fact, off late, I've been working with a few buyers who are putting down more than 20% because they couldn't buy earlier. And over the period of time, they started saving money for the home. And now they're capable of putting down more. So that's one segment definitely I feel is going to be continuing to buy. Those who missed the boat earlier and they still wanted to buy the house, and now
Mhm.
initially they were perhaps say family planning, but now they have a kid. They just want to have their house, their own house, and this 3 4 years have helped them perhaps put in some more money towards the down payment.
Right.
Uh, so
Right.
that's one
Yep.
segment which I can think of.
Right. Yeah, and I can add to that. I was reading a report in preparation for this seminar or this vlog or podcast or whatever you call it, live stream. I did some research, and as long as there's a high demand, which we have, and the demand is getting higher and higher, home prices are not going to drop,
True.
irrespective of the mortgage rates. I don't care if the rates go at 8%, people are still going to buy. And
Oh
we'll
yeah.
talk about it, but let me point out the four things why the demand is so high. And I'm going to point out the four things and then let's discuss about it. Okay. The first one I'll give you is homeowners who've been I've been in my house for 25 years. My house has quadrupled. So if I sell my house, I have so much equity that when I sell, I take equity and put a big, large down payment or pay cash. That's number one in general. Number two, the demographics. What happened in 2005, 2006, 2007, in those years, specifically 2007, there was a boom in birth rates,
Oh, yes.
right? And what's happening is those people are now becoming first-time buyers because that boom is coming. So that's increasing the buyer demand. Also, what's happening is um, and I'm sure it's an average, but nationwide, people, the first time home buyers used to buy at 27, 28, 30, 32. But do you know what the average right now is with first time home buyers? It's 38. So they're waiting much, much longer. They have a bigger down payment and they're better qualified. They have better credit scores in general because they're waiting
So true.
longer. So it's an average first time home buyer is 38 years old. That's another factor we'll talk about. And the last factor that I want to talk about is also the inheritance money coming from the baby boomers like you and me. I'm a baby boomer born in the 60s or whatever. They brought up, unlike the millennials right now who spend a lot of money, buy Starbucks at $7 a day and in the afternoon and blow $14 a day on Starbucks. We did not spend any money. We saved and saved and saved. We bought properties, we bought stocks, we were frugal. All that money is there. There's a trillions of dollars waiting to be dumped into the market as boomers like myself as we pass along. So let's talk about those four things. Number one, sellers who've been owning the homes for last 4 5 years, 10 years, 20 years are selling and buying. So that's, I'll let you talk about that. How is that impacting the buyer market?
so when sellers are selling now, whatever has happened over past few years has given them an opportunity to put down a lot more than they would be. For example, uh, a buyer who bought the home at about 450 few years ago is now, in fact, I'm dealing with one, is going to be a seller soon, uh, is likely to sell the home in this market at about 750 plus. Now think of it, this 300,000 coming to them directly, which can be used as a down payment. They can simply use this down payment to buy $1 million home, which will definitely, you know, at for 700,000 of a loan, the monthly payment will be much less.
Mhm.
So that is one segment which is definitely ready. Whoever has bought the homes with the low mortgage interest rates, or many of them refied, they are less likely to do that. But On an average, anybody who is having an equity roughly about more than 50% of their original home price purchase are ready to buy now.
Mm-hmm.
So you will see the influx of the sellers who will have sufficient money from the sale of their home to use as a down payment to buy the higher home. And a rule of thumb for us is anybody who's upgrading the home usually buys the new home, which is about 50% more than the price of their current home.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody who's buying it, who's selling at 700, 750 is likely to buy the home in $1 million range. But again, same thing, because they have a lot of down payment, 300,000 plus whatever they have saved over the last 10 years. The mortgage amount will be much less. That's one segment.
Right.
The second segment, which in fact maybe you can take it over
Let me
for
add
those.
something to you what you just said, and then we'll move on to the second.
Sure,
You mentioned that people selling for 750 are buying 1 million, but also remember, I'll give you California example because
sure,
Californians are moving. Let's say somebody bought a house 20 years ago or
correct.
15 years ago. It's doubled in value or tripled in value, right?
Yeah,
So houses that I sold 20 years ago for $400,000 are $1 million today, easily, right?
easily. Yeah,
So this couple, and I've sold a lot of homes where the couples are going where? They're going to Arizona.
Florida,
They're going to Texas.
Arizona,
They're going to
Florida,
Florida.
Texas.
They're
Yeah,
going to Wyoming. They're going to
yeah,
Timbuktu, where the home prices are $400,000. So, and I'm being specific to California because the California prices are high,
yeah,
specifically Southern California. $800,000 house right now, if I sell 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2,000 square feet, is old. It's built in 1965. Got an 8,000, 10,000 square feet yard, kind of beat up house. Now they sell that house. It's pretty much paid off.
sure.
They go to Texas or Arizona, buy a house for $400,000, brand new, 2,000 square feet, big yard. They're laughing all the way to the
Oh
home and
yeah,
to the bank because they got money in the bank. They pay
true.
cash. They have savings. So either they're buying up or they're buying down or they're moving out into areas, which is very true. So the demand is very high. Maybe, if you look at Idaho, prices have skyrocketed sky high in the last 4 years. Texas, Nevada, Utah, Washington, North Carolina, South
North
Carolina,
Carolina. Yeah,
Florida, Montana. Look at all those states. Prices have gone up. Why?
yeah,
Because all the East Coast people, all the West Coast people are going there because it's cheap for them.
correct.
It's dirt cheap for them.
Yeah,
So
and
that's
the
the trend, and that's
affordability
causing the
index is
demand.
here.
Yeah,
They can afford it over there. I mean, it's
yeah.
you know very likely that what you could not buy in your own state, specifically Northeast, I can
Mhm.
talk about.
Right.
It's kind of difficult to buy a home in Metro Boston area. You can even go to New York, New Jersey area.
Hmm.
Prices have gone so much high nowadays that if someone is living in that area for 20 plus years, they
Hmm.
can easily milk that money and perhaps live in any of the states which Mike Mahesh mentioned, Florida, NC, South Carolina, uh, and Arizona. Arizona is one of the real big market nowadays.
Right.
High demand
Right.
over there. Idaho.
Hmm. Yep. Yep. Okay. So let's move on to the second one. We were talking about the demographic trends, sustained demand due to high birth rate from 1990 to 2010. All these are becoming first time home buyers, things like that. So let's talk about that. But I want to add one more point to that. What's
Sure.
happening is not only are the first time home buyers buying later at age 38, but the other thing that I'm noticing, at least in California, I don't know about other states, but what I've noticed in Southern California is there's a lot of multi-generational purchases, which means that the young kid or the millennial who was buying on his own, now they cannot afford it, so they're buying
Correct.
with their parents, or the parents who want to buy a house are buying with their kids or with the grandpa, and they're buying bigger homes. What we call here is multi-generational home. They want a bigger homes, 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms, 3 baths, so that the youngsters can stay there, the sisters and the brother, mom and dad, and if they have young grandparents, and that's what's happening. So they can pull in together with the down payment as long as and with the qualification. So that's a trend over here. I don't know what's happening over there, but what's your take on that trend?
Well, I'm smiling because I could be one of that candidate.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, thinking of moving down south
Okay.
uh, with my daughter. So it's very likely that this trend definitely is happening. In fact, a few of my friends. Originally, I was in New York for many years, and those, you know, I would say high net worth professionals now have got enough money as savings only. They are moving down south
Mm-hmm.
and they are virtually living for free. I mean, obviously, they can outright purchase the new home in any of those markets and living a luxurious life over there. So yes, it's a very good point, and yes, some of them are just moving on their own. Some of them are going with the family. So the new trend which is coming up or likely to be very prominent in next few years is multi-generational homes,
Mm-hmm.
mainly because the prices are going to go up, and it may not be possible by an elderly parent just to buy the house on their own, or maybe by the next generation who's making enough money but doesn't have any backup or so.
And
So
I want to add something to that. In the trend, there's another trend why this may be helping, especially with millennials or especially with young couples who are both working, have a busy life. I know many youngsters. My son is younger. He's got two kids. He has a lot of friends. They have kids, and one of the things I've noticed, and also I've seen that in reports, especially in Southern California, is a lot of these young people have kids. They want them to be educated, but because they have a house, because they have cars, because they have Hulu, and because they have iPhones and BMWs and Teslas, their expenses are so high. And there's another expense that adds to that, which is babysitting. Nanny, it has babysitting has become so expensive. It costs you minimum 1,000 to 1,500 per month. I'm talking 2,000 a month or more for a full-time nanny today. So instead of doing that, the kids are moving with the parents, and the parents are helping the young kids with the grandkids.
true.
That's a trend, and that is good. I grew up with my parents. I stayed with my parents when I was younger, and it really helped because I learned a lot from them. Today, as soon as the kids get married, they want to split, or they go to college, they do their masters or whatever, and then they find a job and say, "Hey, Dad, I got my own pad," and that's normal. But I'm seeing, at least in Southern California, a lot of them are coming back to mama and papa not only for money, but also for helping with the kids, even if it's for 2 or 3 times a week or in the weekends, or come at 3 o'clock so that you can pick up the kids. Because young millennials and young buyers, we talk about 35, 36, 37, they're too busy. They have to work. The wife cannot quit the job because they can't afford their rent, because rents are so high. They have Tesla payments or car payments. They have iPhones, and they go to Airbnb. That's their lifestyle. They spend like crazy. Unlike us, baby boomers, we were very frugal. These kids spend a lot of money today. And all this is affecting the home purchase. And going back to the demand, that's why there's a demand, because all these people pull in together with the down payment, pull in together with the qualification, and they buy a house.
True.
And
True.
that's why prices will go up. And at the end, we're going to talk about how much, but we'll leave it for for the end. So, do you have any other comments on this, or we can move on to the next point, which is pretty much we discussed about it, but we want to talk about um, some more things, sales volume and forecast. We got another 20 minutes to go.
Actually, the scenario you just described, I would call it as a homecoming.
Hmm.
Okay. It's kind of one of those days where multi-generational families were kind of standard. And I think to an extent, it's coming back.
Hmm.
I definitely have, a couple of very close friend of mine. Now they are living with uh, their mom, dad, and one of them is going to be other way around, where the kids want their parents to come and live with them.
Exactly. I was going to point that out. They're aging and their medical issues. So the
Yeah,
kids. So let's talk about that. But that's very important as well.
yeah. So those things, again, the trend which I foresee is multi-generational homes will be perhaps back in demand. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be 6 bedroom, 7 bedroom. It could be still, 4 bedrooms plus maybe an additional room or something like that. Uh, One of the things which I also see at times is, now double master bed, the one in the first level and one on the upper levels. So that's also coming up, and that's, I guess, the builders may take a clue from our car and start building those kind of homes, because those things are likely to be in more demand coming
Right.
2025, 2026.
Right. Right. Hey, on a side note, Praful, I don't know about you guys over there, but in Southern California, in our multiple listing service, we no longer call it a master bed and a master bedroom and a master bath.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
We call it the primary bedroom or a
All right.
primary bath. No longer the master. It has a different tone to it. Hey, it's a
Yeah,
master bedroom.
yeah.
So in our
Oh, that's a
multiple
good
listing
one.
service, it's now primary bathroom, primary bedroom, which means master. So it's a legal term changed.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
That's pretty good. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You see,
In
yeah,
Southern
we learn every
California,
day.
I mean, every state is different, but at least in Orange County, where I'm at, in Anaheim Hills. On that note, I want to take a minute so to thank the viewer who's watching. And if you have any comments or suggestions on our topic or other pointers we have not discussed, please make a comment and let us know, and we'll respond back to you. But we also want to know your opinions, your comments, what's happening in your area, so other viewers know what's going on. So do make a comment, do make suggestions, give us your feedback. We will really appreciate it, so we can get better every time we do this podcast or a live stream. So yeah, let's talk a few minutes about. And you mentioned that, but I want to talk how big of a situation is this, where we talked about the millennials need help with the kids, blah blah blah, right? Which is a very good point. Let's switch gears and say parents who are 65, 70, getting
True.
older, has medical issues, and the sons are living in, let's say, California, because I'm in California, but the dad is living in Idaho or somewhere. Kids want them back here. Say, mom and dad, we can't come there because we have our jobs, we're well set over here, kids are going to school. Can you move back with us, because we don't want to come see you every month because of your back issue or cancer, and there's a lot of medical issues out there. So those parents are selling and coming back here, and maybe because they're moving out here, they need to buy a bigger home, or buy a house where there's a bedroom downstairs, or buy a house that's single story. So the kids may have to sell their existing home and buy something with a downstairs bedroom or a single story. So that's another factor I think that's coming in. And I've seen that happen. I just sold a home last month, where one of the reasons they sold is because they have a very nice, beautiful 4-bedroom house, but they don't have a full bedroom. They don't have a full bath downstairs. So they sold it and bought a single story home and a smaller home in a different county, specifically for their health issues. So I
Yeah.
don't know if that's happening in your area, or how big of a factor do you see that coming in the next 3, 4, 5 years as
Uh,
we age longer, and there's a lot of medical issues out there.
as I mentioned, uh, I like the term primary bedroom,
Mhm.
and yes, it's been happening over here. Surprisingly enough, I do see many of my buyers expecting that they should have a full bathroom on the first level or on the main level. Now, obviously, traditionally, it has to do with something like Indian culture, where when parents come over here and stay for a longer
Mhm.
period, and because they are elderly parents, they don't want their parents, the kids don't want their parents to go up and down the stairs all the time, and that's where they expect that there's a full bathroom on the first level, main level. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I want to switch some gears, and I want to talk about two things I just added because of the way the conversation is going. We will give you a prediction if it's going to go up or down at the end. But before that, I wanted to discuss two things. what are two things the sellers they should do, Praful, in your opinion, whatever they are, if they're thinking about moving or selling or whatever? What are the two things they should keep in mind? Or if they're waiting, why should they not wait and do it right now? What are the two things that you can advise as a realtor, as an expert, as you see trends coming in? What are those two things for sellers? And at the same time, what are two things for the buyers? And we'll talk about that. And I'll help you with that too as we go along.
So for sellers, one thing, if they are ready to embrace the new lifestyle, I find no reason why they would wait. Uh, One thing that they already have built equity over last few years, I find no reason why they may not have, because the prices have gone up so much in last few years. So they can basically live the lifestyle they want to live. Selling that is perfectly going to be fine because the inventory is low and demand is high. So they are likely to get more than what they are expecting in this market.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, ideally, okay, one of the things which I didn't mention, but we usually segment the market in about four quartiles. The top one being pretty, say top 25 percentile of a price, the next 25 and the next 25 and next 25. Whenever the seller moves, they're going to go up one level or down one level.
Mm-hmm.
Down one level for those people who already have the equity, but they want to move perhaps on the sunnier states or something like that. Up one level for uh, I would say those who are in 40s and 50s, they want their kids to be taken care of. So for both of them, it's advantageous to sell this now. The
Mm-hmm.
only thing which I would recommend over here, go with the professional, because no matter what you do, you are likely to get the better net in your hand when you go with the professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's my take. Sellers shouldn't wait because again, they already have built the equity. They can use that equity for the down payment for their next home easily.
Right, right. I think from what I've seen and sellers that I talk to, a lot of them, especially those who bought in 2022, 2021, or even 2019, where the rates were 2, 3, 4%. Now they're saying, hey, wait a minute. I'm not going to sell my 3% and buy a 7%. And
True.
that's part of the shortage reason, is because a lot of the sellers are not moving. But what the sellers have to understand is you got to keep moving. You're getting older, right?
True.
You cannot predict what if the rates don't go down till 2028. Are you going to hang around? Are you going to make your knees worse or your back worse? Are you not going to spend time with your kids that you're trying to move? So why? Nobody predicted this home price is going up for 10, 15 years, which is the first time it happened in the history. Typically 7 to 8 years, home prices go up, home prices go down. This time, home prices have been going up and up and up and up since 2010. It's 2025 in 2 or 3 days. It's almost 15 years. What if it goes up another 5 years? Are you going to put your lifestyle on hold? So that's the sellers have to consider, is, hey, don't do what's right now. And if the rates go down, you have enough equity to buy a home even at 6%, 7%. Take advantage of your equity. There's so much equity built up. Be blessed that you got so much equity. And when the rates come down, you can always refinance. That's my take on it.
I have one point to share with you at this juncture. Whatever was there prior to 2005 or so, internet was there, but not as prominent as it is now. In fact, we are talking of Gen AI, so perhaps WWW 3.0, the total next level. This has changed, or I would say disrupted the pattern. The usual pattern used to be, and that's what we got used to over past few hundred years, where the market goes up, comes down. And it was perhaps fair during those times to wait for the market to come down. But because of the access to information to the world nowadays, and with all the new tools coming up, trust me, and this is what I've been telling many of my buyers since 2012, that the market is very unlikely to go down. Forget about crashing. Okay, many of them think that the old cycle of the real estate, 6 to 8 years up, 6 to 8 years down, and up and down cycle, the sinus curve, is not going to happen. Trust me, it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
In best case scenario, it may flatten a bit, but during that period, if the mortgage rate goes up, you're going to pay even more monthly because of the mortgage rates. But hoping that prices are going to crash, mark my word, not likely to happen in next at least 5 years, if not more.
Right.
Again, disclaimer.
Right.
Anything can happen.
Right.
Okay. So.
Well, we're talking about based on current conditions, right? So.
Okay, my camera is off. I'm so sorry, but.
Okay.
Yeah, you can carry on. You can take me off. I'll be perhaps a chat.
Okay, we're almost done anyway, so we got another 9. I can carry on. I'll cut it short. But can you see me, or I cannot see?
I can see you. I can see you. Sorry about that.
You out of battery, or what happened?
Oh well, it's been connected, but somewhere must have missed slightly here and there.
So why don't you reconnect, and I'll keep talking because I want to show a chart. I don't know if you can see, but you talked about.
You take me off from the screen.
Let me remove you, and I'll reconnect you. Okay? Yeah. So while Praful is doing that, I want to show you something. While he was talking about, and I was talking about the cycle where home prices used to go up 7 years or 8 year cycle and come down. Let's talk about the stock market just as a reference. Of course, I'm no financial planner. I'm not an attorney, accountant, consultant, accountant, or attorney, whatever. If you make a decision, I'm just giving you some information. But I just happened to look at this chart. I don't know if you can see it. This is the stock market going up from 1992, and it's up 2024 sky high, especially, let's see, can you see it? Especially the last 5 years, stock market has gone up sky high. Similarly, if you buy long term, some people tell me, well, if I buy a home at high price right now, it may go down. And you know what? It will go down. We just don't know when. It may go down in 2 years. It may go down in 10 years. But if you're going to stay in the house for 15 years, 20 years, it doesn't matter. I've been in my house for 25 years. And guess what? In 2008, the home prices tanked. I panicked. And I almost sold my house because I was in real estate. For 1 year, I had zero income, pretty much zero, not zero, but my income was 1/3 of what I used to make because nobody could buy a house. Nobody could qualify for a house. Nobody had jobs. Luckily, I didn't sell. And now I bought my house at this price in 2008. It came down here. And right now it's up here. Just like the stock market. You may buy a stock over here. It may go down, but it may go up on average. So if you're thinking about buying or selling and thinking, hey, prices are too high, rates are too high, it doesn't matter, because if you buy long term, your home prices will double, triple. On average, home prices on average increase at 3 to 4% per year. The last 35-year history shows that. So even if you buy at a high price, it's going to come up. It may go down, but it may come up. As long as you're buying for a long term, you should be okay. So let's wait for Praful to come by. In the meantime, I'm going to share something here and talk about one more time about the housing market activity and the mortgage rates. So it says here, and this is from Zillow report. I'm sure you can see it on the screen. Let me read it from the screen. Expect to see more sales and only modest home value growth in 2025 as the market slowly becomes unstuck. Zillow forecast a 2.6% home value growth in 2025, a relatively slow pace that is similar to this year's growth. For existing home sales, Zillow forecasts 4.3 million in coming year, 4.3 million home sales, that is, up slightly from 4.1 million in 2023 and a projected 4 million in 2024. So they're seeing a healthy home sales. Of course, 4.3 is a lot less than 6.5 million home sales in 2021, but it's still pretty healthy. And let's see what they're saying about the mortgage rates. If we look over here, signs point to mortgage rates easing in 2025. But as we saw in 2024, mortgage rates rarely follow the expected path. What is more certain is that buyers should expect plenty of ups and downs through the years. Mortgage rates fell in September, briefly bringing the share of affordable listings to a 19-month high. They since climbed back to nearly 7%, changing the affordability picture for home buyers. More swings like this are expected in 2025, with refinancing sprints occurring during the dips. So, like I said, home activity is not slowing down. Praful, are you back?
Yes.
Okay.
Only thing is that I have to just be.
You're fine.
Camera is in one direction and screen is another one. Yeah.
No, we're good. I just read a report saying that the mortgage rates may go up or down. They may just stay there. Home sales activity is going to be pretty strong in the sense it was about projected. We don't have the data for 2024, but it was around 4 million or 4.1 million.
4.1.
And Zillow is predicting maybe 4.2 million, which is a healthy. So they're predicting home sales. They're not saying, hey, because of the high 7% rate, nobody's going to buy and nobody can afford the home prices. Home sales are going to down to $3 million. Nobody's saying that. They're saying the home sales is going to increase, which I think is very healthy.
Yeah. So I can just go by some numbers. 2022 was historically, I think, one of the lowest number of homes sold. I think it was 3.8 million. And the prediction for 2023, so 2024, the prediction was close to about 4.5 million. Perhaps we reached at 4.1 million, but 2025, most of the pundits, most of the predictions say that will be close to about, again, 4.7 million or so. And Zillow says 4.3 million. So if you go by the prediction, chances are more number of homes are going to be sold, roughly about 800,000 more than previous year. As far as the interest rates are concerned, I do feel, again, I don't know why, my sixth sense tells me that we might see a dip in mortgage interest rates sometimes in May, June, July. But trust me, I'm not an expert. But that is where the new boom will come in the purchase. So we would be initially on the track of about 4.2 million. But because of that dip in the mortgage interest rates, late spring, early summer, and perhaps carrying on through the summer, it is likely to boost the home sales, and we'll be on the track of about 4.7 million by the end of the year. Again, that's just my intuition, my sixth sense.
Right. Okay. Well, let's after going through all these, let's conclude some things. Number one, rates may stay high, they may come down. They are what they are. Nobody can predict it. They may go to 8%. Who knows? The monkey wrench or the wrench for next year is what is the Trump administration going to do?
True.
How is it going to impact? Nobody knows. Trump says one thing and does something else. And I'm talking professionally, not personally, right? We've heard that before. He's going to end the war on day one. He's going to resolve immigration on day one. He's going to do a lot of things day one. We'll see what happens. So the big wrench is the monkey wrench, what I call, is what Trump administration is going to do. We don't know. How is it going to affect employment? How is it going to affect inflation? One thing's for sure, rates are going to stay high. They're not coming down to 4.5% and absolutely not coming down to 3% next year or in the next 15 years. I'll be brave to say that. Don't expect 3% for the next 20, 30 years. Okay.
True.
Inflation is going to remain strong or where it is. Employment is strong. Inventory is remaining low because people are not moving. They're not moving because they're locked in interest rates. A lot of people like myself remodeled during the COVID days. I'm not going to move now, right? So there's a shortage of inventory because of that, because of interest rate, because of equity, because of upgrades. Home builders cannot keep up with the demand. new home building, we are almost 3 to 5 million homes short, which includes existing homes and new build homes. We are short in demand, which tells me that prices will only go up. The question is how much. I'm going to be bold enough to say that the prices will go up anywhere from 2.5 to 5% depending on your area. That's what I'm going to say. At the end of this discussion, I expect up to 5% increase, more in Southern California than in Texas or Florida. Florida is seeing a decrease because of the condo crisis, insurance crisis, but we're looking at average, right?
Yeah. My take on that is any metro areas definitely will go up. At the same time, because of the migration of people from affluent states to kind of not so affluent states, or perhaps migrating to North Carolina, Idaho, Arizona, the prices are also likely to go up in that segment also. All right. So I would perhaps predict slightly higher than yours, about 6% to 8% increase in the prices of the homes. And I do foresee a bit of dip. It will not be in, fives, but it could be, 5.75, can be lower 6 in terms of the mortgage rate come March, April, May, June. Again, that's my intuition, my sixth sense telling me that it's likely to happen. And don't ask me why, but that just sometimes when you are in the business for so long, you just have a feeling that is likely to happen. So that's what is likely to happen. I just guess.
But just like buyers have their feelings, sellers have their feelings, we have our feelings, and of course we could be wrong. We could be totally wrong. But if you're a seller, if you're a buyer, and if you're thinking that, hey, rates are going to come down, prices are going to come down, that's not going to happen. So don't let that stop you from buying. We're not predicting this to be predictors and get a trophy for it. We're trying to guide you. If you're a seller saying, you know what, let me wait until the rates come down to 4%. Let me wait till the home prices come down, because even though I bought my house at 400, now it's worth 700. I want to wait for the $1 million home to come down. But guess what? If that home comes down, your home price comes down. So don't fight it. Don't chase the market. You're like a puppy or a cat chasing your tail. You're never going to catch up. So we're trying to predict so that you can move on with your life or your decision to either move or not move and move on. Keep renting, throw your money out, or buy right now and for long term, and bite the bullet and do it. If you want to move with your kids, you have knee issues, hip issues, make a move. If your youngsters want to move with your parents, they're helping with the down payment, make a move. If you're a buyer waiting for the rates to come down, they may not come down, make a move. So we just give you information. You take what you want, compare it with other articles, consult with your professional, consult with your accountant, consult with your local realtor. On that note, if you're looking for a realtor, a professional realtor in the East Coast, Praful can refer you to somebody. I can refer you to somebody. Call us. We'll refer you to a professional, skilled, knowledgeable realtor. Talk to them. What's happening in your local market. What we've talked about is the national average factors and numbers. But remember, always, real estate is very local. Like what's happening in Florida is not what's happening, what we're talking about. Opposite is happening in Florida. Inventory is very high. Homes are not selling. There's almost 45,000 vacant homes right now because of the insurance crisis, because of the homeowners association crisis. So talk to your realtor on your local market what to do. We'll refer you to that. So hopefully this information was helpful. Praful, if you have any last words to share with the buyers, sellers, or investors or renters, feel free to do so, and then we'll end this program.
Well, it's more of a profound truth from Praful.
Okay.
Don't compromise on what you want in your life, be it anything else, and be it real estate. We are here to help you. Simple. All right? That's my last words.
Okay, cool. Well, hope you had fun. You had some information. And like I said, if you have any comments, any suggestions, any feedback, Please make it known. We won't feel bad about it if you write a bad note or a good note. We're here to improve, and we can only improve when we hear from you. End of the day, we are here to help you and guide you. If you have any specific questions that relates to you, direct message me. We're here to help you. Thanks for watching, and thanks, Praful. I'll call you back again.
Sure.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
See you next week on Monday, 4:30 California time.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Have a great 2025.